Communications, Armintha Collins. I'm from Liberty University. This is for my Human Services Communications Class 508. I will be discussing the definition of communication, my overarching goal, enlarging the conversation, the negative and positive influences of my background and behavior blend, potential barriers, the internal and external noise pollutions, and my plan of action to achieving my overarching goal. Next slide. Communication, according to Stewart, is verbal and nonverbal. Happens when two people talk. It's more than just communication. It's actually words, ideas, and the interactions of facial expressions, eye contact, and getting the point across. Next slide. What is interpersonal communication according to Burley Allen? It's empathetic listening, where we listen and pay attention to the listener through empathy. There's 3 levels, even though most of us are at a level 1. It's hearing the words logically. We don't need to listen in spurts, because therefore we're not giving full attention, and we need to focus on what's being said, not a rebuttal. Next slide. Overarching goal is basically defined as listening with respect and support, being an attentive listener, and loving others as God has loved us. Until we know who we are, it's difficult to communicate with someone else. And also, statements made about ourselves and others do reflect our self-concept and our thought patterns and our belief systems. Next slide. So to be a empathetic listener, I need to listen at all 3 levels. Level 1 is empathetically. Level 2 is concern about others' feelings rather than the emotions. And level 3 is to be quiet and passive. Make sure I'm listening to what's being said. A person at this level is usually faking at the level 3, according to Burley Allen. So we need to make sure that we are paying attention to everything that's being said when we listen empathetically. Next slide. Enlarging the communication is a direct link between the quality of communication and the quality of life, according to Stewart. Mindful listening requires that we listen and pay attention with respect to the speaker so that we can build stronger relationships and become a better listener. Listening helps reduce tension and stress, and it increases when we're increases the communication when we're giving sole attention to the speaker and using focusing, encouraging words, and reflection. Next slide. Enlarging the conversation, according to Peterson, is where our stomach expands and is overloaded by our emotions, and it causes a flat brain syndrome, which affects our brain and distorts what we think, hear, and see, and that means that communication fails. Next slide. Enlarging the community is affected by identity, according to Stewart. Ascribed identity assigned by others, or avowed identity, which we assign ourselves. And also, my identity for enlarging the communication is that I need to focus on being honest and open and interact empathetically. Next slide. My background, basically, I am African American. I was raised by my grandmother in a household of 5 boys, separated, mother of 2, Christian. I have a bachelor's degree in human family services, and I'm working on my master's. Therefore, my background does affect me positively because I do have a love for God. I'm intelligent. I have great family values. I'm optimistic about my future, and I have a strong support system. It does affect me negatively because I am shy. I have a hard time interacting with people, and I have a hard time trusting, and I'm afraid to get out of my comfort zone. Next slide. The DISC personality by Carbonell. The D is active task oriented. The I is active people oriented. The S is passive people oriented. The C is passive task oriented. Next slide. Behavior blend. I need to realize that I am seen by others in a way that is different than how I really am. I am a CS blend, which is passive, shy, protective, and a good friend, although others see me as competent, submissive, balanced, assertive, withdrawn, and calculating. Next slide. My behavioral blend is positive aspects of my behavior are that I like to plan out things. I like to be in harmony and organization. I like to do one task at a time to make sure it's done correct, and I like to help people, although it could affect me negatively because I am shy and antisocial, nervous in the spotlight, and I don't like to interact in groups. Next slide. Barriers to communication, listening biases, hear what you want to hear, self-disclosure, only revealing what you want to reveal. Green flag words, according to Burley, can be used negatively or positively. And fake listening, where you don't really listen to what's being said. So you need to make sure that to resolve these barriers to communication, that you filter out words, accept new ideas, and that you avoid being defensive. Utilize all the skills, and for me, the skills that I've learned in my class from the readings and the journals have helped me be a better communicator. Next slide. Noise pollutions. The internal noise pollutions can be caused by physical, psychological. They can be controlled. They can be from fatigue, emotions, deadlines. The external physical barriers could be from room temperature. They can be from chewing gum interruptions. They can be controlled or not controlled, some of them. Anything that interferes with our ability to maintain focus. There's also speaker barriers, which is the way someone has a accent, mannerism, or their appearance. Next slide. Solutions to noise pollution are going to be to make sure you're using empathetic accuracy, empathetic compassion, and empathetic interaction, along with empathetic listening and sympathy. Next slide. Solving noise pollutions. Basically, I need to give the impression to others that I am listening. I need to make sure that I am switching roles as far as speaking and listening. Next slide. My plan of action is going to be to identify when I get frustrated or impatient when I'm communicating, practice the techniques in my class, be open and honest, identify any barriers that I have, make sure I'm reading daily scriptures, listening actively at all levels, reflecting on both my feelings and thinking, and on continue to reflect on the journals from this course. Next slide. My plan of action is also going to be to give sole attention, avoid pseudo questions, which are complaints and judgment. Make sure I'm encouraging, using eye contact, feedback, and mirroring words that are being reflected from me, and repeating my own words. Next slide. In conclusion, I will quote a scripture that says in Ephesians 4:32, be ye kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ has forgiven us. Basically, I need to use all the resources in this course, and hopefully this PowerPoint will help you to be able to be a better listener and communicator, to build stronger relationships in your personal and your professional life. Next slide is my references, which are Burley Allen, 1995, Carbonell 2008, Peterson 2007, and Stewart 2012, along with 2 peer-reviewed journals that can help you if you want to look up that information, be a better communicator. Thank you, and this ends my presentation for interpersonal communication. Thank you.